Hey, gun control tyrants like Gavin Newsom just don't get it. Making good people defenseless does not make bad people harmless. Instead of using the word gun control, they should use victim disarmament.
That's right.
And if you believe in the Second Amendment, and if you believe that good people deserve the best tools to defend themselves and their families, then you should be a member of San Diego County Gun Owners. San Diego County Gun Owners makes it easy to connect with the community that's fighting to defend and restore your Second Amendment rights. Become a member today. It's only $10 a month. Go to SDCGO.org/join to become a member today.
What's up, Dave?
Kicking chickens, buddy. How about you?
All kinds of fun stuff, man. The gun show was very cool.
I was going to say, you had a good weekend, huh?
We had a really good weekend. There was, it's you know how at the end of a football season, or usually about 2 or 3 games in, if your team's not doing so well, they call it a rebuilding year, right?
So you talking about the Chargers?
Yeah, every year it's a rebuilding year for them. So this is a rebuilding year for the gun show, but it was the important thing is. So what do I mean by that? It's not what Del Mar was yet, but in some ways I think it's a little better, but it's certainly not the size of Del Mar, and we certainly don't have as many vendors and as big a variety of firearms yet. But I think the cool thing is so many people kind of see the potential and are just there to support, and that was really, really cool.
I think the key to the gun show was the symposium.
Yes.
Hands down. Del Mar didn't have that.
Yep.
Nobody else had that.
Yeah, that's how it's better. And I got to tell you, he's still there right now, but that is 100% Rich Hummel.
Absolutely. Everybody, big round of applause for Rich, because he worked his tail off on this.
He did work his tail off on it. And the symposium, for those who don't know, when you go to the gun show, you pay the fee, go in, and then the symposium was free. The symposium was basically a lecture series. So we had instructors. We had John Dillon talk about
and you could have charged for this, to be honest with you.
We could have, yeah. And but it was all at the door. You get into the gun show and boom, you get the full experience. Because we're trying to build this thing up, because we're trying to make it better than it even was before. But the sheriff came and spoke, and she knocked the cover off the ball.
Did she really?
She really did. She got people were clapping, and some very, very good questions. And they talked about SB2, and what that's going to do to CCWs, which is not good. If it passed, but now, and of course, we have a lawsuit against it. Now we just got to make sure we can. I know we're going to win the lawsuit, but we got to get the injunction in place and all that other stuff. Super, super thoughtful lady. She doesn't. She said something really interesting, and I talked about this after she got done talking. She said that she on different issues, she lends her voice when she thinks it is appropriate and can be effective. Now, what that means is, she has an opinion on everything, just like we all do. Mm-hmm. But she is thoughtful and deliberate on when she airs her voice. Sometimes just kind of spouting off at the mouth and saying things, especially if you're an elected official, especially if you're, the sheriff of a major county in a major state, doesn't always do everybody a lot of good to just kind of give your opinion willy-nilly. So she's not afraid to step up and talk about things that she believes in, but she doesn't but she's very thoughtful and deliberate, and I really, really enjoy that about her. I think it's extremely important in a county as big and diverse as San Diego.
And she's a Democrat.
She's a Democrat.
I think that's important to say.
Yeah, she's a Democrat, and we endorsed her and got her elected, and she got a big round of applause when she was speaking. The panel discussion with some elected officials was very, very cool. That was Dustin Trotter from CNT. That was Phil Ortiz. He was a council member in El Cajon. And then Laura Lothian. Mm-hmm. Laura Lothian, the vice chair of La Mesa, is such a crack up. She's so hilarious. She was saying, that a gun issue came in front of them, which, we helped with. And she said the other side wanted to pass this storage law, and all they had were some woman would come up and start crying or whatever, and she said, okay, so we're going to pass a law based on girls crying, she said, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, it was really, really great. So
every county needs a Laura.
I think so too. Alicia, how are you?
Fantastic.
Good. We have so much to talk about. The next segment, we're going to talk to Ken Bartel, How are you?
I'm doing well, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Ken is from Royal Loan, and you've been a member of San Diego County Gun Owners from the very, very start, from the very beginning. You've been to every dinner. You were a supporter at the very, very first dinner, and you've been absolutely wonderful. And I think we're long overdue having you on the show.
Well, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the San Diego County Gun Owners. I saw from very early on that what you had to offer was representing the people of San Diego and giving us a voice, as opposed to some of these big national organizations that can't focus on our immediate issues.
Yeah. Well, and I can't wait to talk about your shop. I'm a big fan, and I'm so glad you're here. But yeah, well, there's so much to talk about too. There's the Miller decision that came out. There's all kinds of cool stuff. We're going to talk about our monthly meetings and how they went. We're going to talk about how Not Me California has a fundraiser. That's our 501c3. We're going to talk a little bit about our friends at Gunfighter Tactical. There's some news there that we'll definitely talk about. But I can't wait to really get into it. Ken, are you familiar with SB2? Have you seen that yet? The one that limits the where you can carry for CCW holders to like nowhere.
Yeah, I have been following that to a certain point, and it's gonna cripple having a CCW. It basically takes all the teeth out of it.
It really does. And I was on just in the last couple weeks. I've been on I think everywhere: ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, KUSI, just about every news outlet, Union Tribune. And they all wanted to know at least a little bit. You know, they were talking about the gun show, and they were talking about some other things. They were talking about the Miller decision, but they all wanted to talk about SB2. They all realize the scope, you know, the gravity of SB2 and just how big it is. And in all fairness to them, I mean, you know, a lot of these journalists, you know, are either neutral or lean. How do I put it? I don't want to say they lean left. That's too it's too elementary. It's not exactly true. They look to be, you know, devil's advocate. They look to challenge you, you know, whether you're for or against, you know, their job is to challenge you. So, you know, I guess what I'm saying is I've talked to some reporters lately who I've talked to in the past that normally do a really good job of challenging me, who find it tough to challenge me on SB2. They kind of go, yeah, this thing is really extreme. You know, this seems, you know, way beyond reasonable gun control. And they were having a hard time challenging me on the fact that it's just so unreasonable. So I thought that was interesting. I also thought it was super interesting that, you know, I went to NBC, their new building. Well, they've been there a few years now. You remember when they were downtown, the NBC building? Down by Horton Plaza. Well, you know, they moved to Claremont, and it is like getting into Fort Knox. I'm like, wow, you guys have no wonder. You know, look at all this security. I got about 5 feet from the front door, and somebody came over a loudspeaker and said, "Can I help you?" You know, and
Wow.
and then you had to get into a secure door. They buzzed you in, and then from there you had to get in through another secured door after you talked to the security guy. And I'm like, well, I don't have that kind of security. That's why
Just like KUSI.
That's why I need a gun. Yeah, KUSI.
They have a stick that you can pick through.
KUSI has a guy named Tommy who's waving. Come on, hurry up.
In.
Yeah.
All right, the most important thing, how was the food?
Food was awesome.
Did you eat everything?
I didn't eat everything. Rich got me taco rice, which I'd never had before. Super spicy, and I loved it.
Hey, if you own a gun in California, you should have an attorney that specializes in California gun laws on your speed dial. Because if you ever have legal matters that involve firearms, you need California's firearm lawyer, John Dillon, especially if you have questions on red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. Our trusted firearms attorney is John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon, California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150.
So before we get to Ken, talk about the Tactical Expo. How did that go?
Sure.
That was at Core?
It was at Core in Santee.
Yep.
Correct.
It's not Santee.
I believe it's Santee.
Yeah, Santee, they
Yeah,
moved.
They moved.
Oh, they moved to Santee?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's a little industrial area.
Yeah, they told us.
Yeah.
Nobody ever tells me.
Didn't they tell us last week?
I think Mike was out of town.
What part of Santee did they move to?
It's you know where oh goodness, you put me on the spot here with direction. I'm a woman. Legit.
Blonde.
So should we stop and ask for directions?
Probably. So it's I believe I want to say it's Pathways. It's in Santee. It's in the little industrial park area.
Okay, I know where that is.
So it was great. They had a number of vendors. They had this guy that was that was selling these really pretty fantastic multi-tool crowbar, wrench, hammer, hatchet thing. I bought one. I'll do a review on it. I'll break some things up.
Oh my!
They had some local custom concealment holster guy that was he makes them custom, and it was pretty rad. I bought one of those. I'll be doing a review on that as well once I have a chance to kind of test it and run it. It was great. They were doing a lot of giveaways and raffles, and it was a great time.
Core is wonderful. People ask, why do we do it on the same weekend? We messed up. Everybody kind of messed up.
No one communicated.
Well, Core and the gun show, we both kind of we were neck deep. We were both too deep into our events.
Then you realize you had the same.
Well, but then we realized, and we're like, neither one. So we both ended up supporting each other.
Right.
We both promoted each other's events. Because you
could do both.
Yeah,
you could do both.
Yeah,
Santee and wherever.
But we love Core, and they love us, and I'm so glad that it was a successful event for you guys. So, but we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen again. We want to make sure we're all on the same page. So, well, awesome, Ken from Royal Loan. It's so nice to have you in the studio. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming. I got to tell you, I frequently tell people that you guys are just about the best gun store in San Diego, because people don't typically think of you as a gun store because you're a pawn shop, but you guys have the best. I remember I walked in years ago, like when we first started San Diego County Gun Owners. Walked in and came out and saw you guys, and I'd been in there before. A friend of mine used to do transfers through you guys, and I'd been in there before, but I hadn't really paid attention. And then I went in there, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And this is like, I don't know, 8 years ago, and you guys had like a KSG, and you had all this really cool stuff. You guys are like have some of the best selection in San Diego.
Well, thank you, Michael. It's grown over the years. When we first started the business back in 1995, when we took it over, we had one small case with a handful of guns, and it kind of it took on a life of its own after a while. And people started coming in and buying things, and then we realized if I wanted to keep making sales, we had to continue to bring in merchandise. With the restrictive roster that we have, there's not as many used guns as we would like that we can come through the store and fill the cases. So we fill the case with new guns. We stock from Glock, we stock Smith & Wesson, we stock Beretta, we stock SIG, we stock the Kel-Tecs. So yeah, we have a very, very big selection. It's pretty impressive.
Well, and you're a pawn shop, right?
Yes.
So if people have collections of old guns from family members, can they come down and sell them to you?
Oh, absolutely, Dave. In fact,
because a lot of people don't know what to do with an old gun.
Dave, that's absolutely what we do. We've had a lot of people come in with their collections, family collections. Children of firearm owners that are not interested in having guns, but they want to get some value out of them. We offer to buy them outright. We also do consignments, and consignments will get the seller more money.
Right.
We sell it on their behalf, and we take a percentage. It
right.
also allows us to sell things that are not on the roster.
Right, which you can do.
Yes, we can.
Where are you located?
We're in North Park at 3033 El Cajon Boulevard, about a quarter of a mile west of the 805.
Okay.
And you pretty much to be a pawn shop, you pretty much have to have an FFL.
If you want to be a pawn shop that sells firearms, you have to have an FFL.
It's not pretty much. You have to have
yes,
one.
Yes.
Well, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, if someone says, "Hey, I want to run a pawn shop," it's crippling if they don't have an FFL. You get a lot of people that want to come in and maybe pawn a firearm or whatever. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand. Am I right or no?
We are one of the only pawn shops in San Diego County that still have an FFL.
Oh, okay.
In the past, almost every pawn shop had an FFL, but the regulations and the restrictions and the inspections and the fees
difficult.
basically, most people just gave it up.
Wow. And that's, I think, why you guys have such a good shop is that you didn't give it up. I think because you're a gun guy, I guess what I'm getting to. That's why your shop is so good with firearms. That's why you kept your FFL. You're a legit actual guy. You didn't just get into it because you're a pawn shop. You're a gun guy.
I am a gun guy, and that can be a disadvantage. As I was telling you earlier,
they don't sit on the shelf for very long, do they?
Exactly. Yes, I too many of them make it into my own safe. So
I just want you to know, Ken.
That's a weakness.
I just want you to know, I'm never coming to your store
So
because
Ken,
you have not seen my house.
Yeah.
I mean, I am terrible about collectibles, and I know you got collectibles, whether it be guns or.
Dave, you can always find room.
Yeah, there you go.
God, you're so
Ken.
right. You're so right. Oh, my God. But I guess I have to go.
What's a cool story? What's something interesting that's come through your shop?
Oh, my God.
What's like a really cool story where you're just like, I can't believe I saw her, you know?
So we've had some really interesting things. Some of them I can't really repeat on air. But for instance, we took in we had one of the torches that was carried through L.A. In the I believe it was the '84 Olympics.
Yeah.
It was legitimate, and we've taken in a couple of division rings for NFL division rings.
Yeah.
Of course, no Super Bowl ring because we're Chargers, or we were the Chargers.
Don't even start.
It's kind of, you know what though? It's kind of sad that some professional football player had to sell his ring. It's actually kind of sad now that I think of that through.
Yeah, it is. But sometimes it is, but things.
Well,
happen.
they don't know how to manage their money. Really, I mean, down deep inside. I mean, a lot of them don't know. Then they get into hard times. Next thing you know, the ring's just got to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the case.
Yeah, it is.
How do you find? Okay, so let's say you take in a unique item like the torch or a division
or a really cool watch.
I'd imagine, do you just wait for them to come? Like, how do you find a buyer for that?
Well, luckily we have a lot of people that know about our business, and so people come through. We contact people if we have to, or we decide that we don't want to have it in the store. We'll put it online. We'll run it through eBay or one of the other auction.
But if somebody
sites.
says to you, "Hey, I really like XYZ," and if you ever happen to see one, let me know.
Absolutely,
and
we
you
do
get
it all the
people
time.
They hand you a business card. And let me know. By the way, did you see his watch?
Yeah, we saw. Yeah, we
we
already had a whole. I took a picture. Had a whole watch discussion already. He's already told me some of the watches he has down there. And
you going?
And, I can't. Not today.
Yeah, Michael, I've got an Omega down there with your name on it.
I know. He's already thrown out the.
Okay, so let me get into that business for a little bit. Do you wheel and deal? Like if I go.
Absolutely.
Okay. You're not like Pawn Stars, are you?
No, but Pawn Stars is actually a little bit more. It's a little cleaned up. It's a little more sanitized.
You think?
It's not as. I don't think we're as cut and dry as that is. It's just there's people come at it from all different angles. Some people come in and tell me what they are very straight about it. Some people you have to try to find out from them.
And it's either yes or no. How do you price your stuff?
We check. Luckily, there's a lot of resources now with the internet.
Not back in the day.
Used to be back in the day. We had blue books. We had thick, 1,000-page blue books that we had to replace every few months. We had it for guns. They used to have blue books for computers that you had to use.
You still have your old blue books?
Oh gosh, no.
You're not a pawn star. I'd keep all that.
What did Pawn Stars do to the industry? How did that make it worse, or did that have an effect?
I think Pawn Stars helped it a lot. Pawn Stars made pawn shops seem more mainstream and more accessible,
and not as seedy,
not as seedy as some of the stereotypical depictions have been of pawn shops and pawnbrokers.
You have a green visor?
No, I don't have a green visor.
We got to get you one.
Pawn Stars is the one in Vegas, right?
Right.
Yes.
So that one is it's just kind of like a history lesson. It's kind of an interesting way to do a little history. There's a little drama, a little history. But what was the one in Detroit?
Oh, that was a hardcore pawn.
Yeah.
My gosh, that one was.
The title was perfect.
That one was a lot dirtier and.
But what I liked about American Pickers, what I liked about Pawn Star in Vegas is you're right. It was educational.
Yeah.
And they were big into guns.
all kinds of stuff. But a lot of that was fake, right? I mean, it was all set up.
Some of it, I'm not sure. Some of it was, but it was. I wish we had experts like they do, where I could just call somebody every time somebody brought something in, that we wouldn't have to do all the work ourselves.
Right.
But I mean, the stuff that would, I don't know. I mean, the stuff that would come through there was like that. That's a phenomenon. Like, there's no way that amount of interesting stuff comes through that regularly. I mean, they'd have 500-year-old crossbows and stuff. I mean, I don't know. Does that stuff regularly appear?
Maybe there's a lot of gamblers that bring those items with them and they run on hard times.
I think the location. I think location had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And I think what that show did for you was open the door to people that have stuff, like you said, from family members passed on or what have you, and they didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
So the first place they would go is, well, let's go check out this pawn store or pawn shop and let's see what they can do for us. And there's deals to be made too, what a lot of people don't realize.
Absolutely. No, we give some tremendous deals.
Yeah.
People can save a lot of money on their items.
All right, I'll come up and look.
So Ken, during break we need to talk when my husband's not listening.
You already bought too much stuff.
He's got off-roster stuff.
He does?
Yeah.
Hey, if you have listened to Gun Owners Radio, you know how I feel about our current government financial system. So it's no secret I'm a big believer in diversifying your money with precious metals like gold and silver. But when it comes to buying precious metal, you need the right company in your corner. That's why we're partnered with the top-rated precious metal company, Goldco, because reputation does matter. Goldco, the 6 times Incorporated 5,000 winner, 2022 Company of the Year, and they've helped people like you and me place over $2 billion in gold and silver. And right now, they're offering Gun Owner Radio supporters up to $10,000 in bonus silver when opening a qualified IRA. This is your opportunity to protect yourself from out-of-control corporate government. Don't pass it up. Grab your phone today and give Goldco a call. Take action today so you don't regret it tomorrow. Call Goldco at 855-612-6354. 855-612-6354. Make sure you tell them you heard it right here on Gun Owners Radio.
I like the music that Brendan plays, like the non-copyright music they play. I always try to, when we're coming in from a commercial, I always try to guess what song they're trying to copy. Like that was clearly look, we need a Muzak version of China Grove by the Doobie Brothers. That's my guess on that last one.
That's cool.
So anyway, good job, Brendan, as always. So Ken, talk about you talked a little bit about how it used to be that every pawn shop had an FFL, but then it just got too complicated and they all just said forget it. And I'm assuming that's just California specific.
California is a beast of its own because of the layers of regulations. Not only are we regulated by the federal government, we're regulated by the state government and local government.
Yeah.
So not only can the federal government come, the ATF will do inspections, the DOJ of California will do inspections. They have their own set of laws and rules that are going to be a little stricter than the federal rules. So all of these things need to be, all these rules need to be followed, closely and without fail.
Talk about what's that done to your business? How has it changed your business? You've been in business since mid-'90s.
Right, since 1995. It makes it more expensive to do business. Anytime they add more regulations onto anybody's business, it creates it's time consuming. It takes a tremendous amount of additional time just to comply with all the regulations and to make sure that everything is done by the book.
I mean, do you feel that are they the steps that they're taking? Do you feel like, all right, yeah, this is helping stop criminals?
A background check is necessary. We don't want felons or people that have mental health issues necessarily to have guns. I think those are background check is an important thing, but some of the other regulations are excessive. They don't do anything for crime. Right now, we're doing background checks on ammunition. It's very time consuming. It's It's restrictive, and it keeps people from exercising their right.
Yeah, it's not helping.
No, it's not helping.
But of course, background checks existed in '95 when you started. It's the mountain of stuff they've added since that's really put a damper on things and just made it. It feels like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to me it appears that it's not so much about stopping criminals. It's more about trying to make it so complicated that you can't do business the way, in firearms. Do you have a thought on that? Or
Oh, absolutely. That is very much how it feels. In fact, one of the latest bills that the governor signed is a requirement that all gun stores have audio and video recording 24/7 and storage of up to a year of that material.
How are you going to do that?
I don't know yet. We're trying to figure that out. It's going to be very expensive, and it's also very intrusive. And I'm really it bothers me greatly that that we're going to be basically under surveillance.
The government is watching you exercise your right to keep and bear arms. That they have a camera on you because you're exercising your right to keep and bear arms.
Right,
watching and listening. It's not just.
But I
video.
wonder if that's legal. I mean, as far as First Amendment.
Well, they got to go to court and make the case.
And here's the other thing: you asked, "Is it working?" Or do you think where's their goal? How many Pawn Stars have the ability to sell guns now?
Pawnshop.
You're it.
We're basically it.
And out of how many that used to?
Dozens.
So that's their goal, is to make it so cumbersome, so difficult, and so expensive. They would be thrilled if you'd stop.
They would, Dave, and I'll tell you what, the law-abiding people out there that are buying guns are not the problem.
Of course not.
It's always the criminals that are the problem. And I've been doing this for 28 years now, and people come in, and occasionally somebody will try to buy a gun that is prohibited from owning a gun. They're a felon. And I've only had 2 instances in my entire 28 years that I've been in business where any agency has come into my locations and asked for paperwork so they could go prosecute that felon that tried to buy a gun.
That's a problem.
So they're hurting the law-abiding people, and they're not enforcing the law and doing the things, the common sense things that should be done.
They're not on our side.
No, they're not.
Well, another problem. I went to right before COVID, like 2 weeks before COVID, the ATF had a meeting, and I got invited from one of the local gun shops. And we've talked about it on the air before. I've talked about it on the air before. It was the most predatory, intimidating meeting I've ever been a part of. And if you listen to this show very long, I don't get intimidated. But I walked out of that going, wow, this is bad. The ATF is a predatory agency. And those are my words. Stand by them. But the problem there is you guys are part of the front line. Gun shops, and especially pawn shops with FFLs, are the front line when it comes to stopping criminals. Treating you guys poorly, treating you guys like you're part of the problem rather than treating you guys like you're part of the solution has made the problem worse. I mean, you were just saying, hey, some bad guys came in, tried to do something illegal, and you report them, right? I mean, if somebody comes in and does something wrong, bad, illegal, whatever, you want law enforcement to stop bad guys.
We do report them. We also will refuse to sell if we feel that a straw sale is the most common thing that we encounter, where 2 people come in, one person points to the gun and the other person says, "I'll take that." Those don't happen in our store.
And imagine if law enforcement. Don't you think that if law enforcement over the last 30 years had stopped blaming you, and not you specifically, but gun dealers, and partnered with you and said, hey, these guys can help us, make the world a better place, I think that it'd be a very different attitude, a very different work environment, and I think they'd have a lot more success.
There you go, being logical again. Will you stop that?
You're absolutely right. If we had more of a partnership with these agencies, we are the front line and we see what's going on. We could help each other a great deal.
But Ken, wouldn't you say you have a pretty good relationship with these folks here in town that come and visit your shop?
I feel like we do.
Yeah, I think so too.
We do our job properly.
Yeah.
We're thorough. We're not.
Because if you weren't, they'd be on you like butter on toast. seriously, trying to close you down. So they know you're doing the right thing. I mean, that's just that's my gut feeling.
I don't know. I think they're predators.
Well, I didn't say they weren't.
I think they're predators.
Well, I'm sure they are.
And if you're an ATF agent listening right now, you are a predator.
Yeah.
I am not shy about saying
That's
that.
right.
And I can give specific instances. I've been on this side for years. I've heard specific things from people. We're not going to put Ken on the spot because he's got to run his shop and deal with them. But I'm telling you right now, I've talked to dealers. ATF, you guys are predators. You should be ashamed. That whole department needs to be revamped or gotten rid of. It's horrible what they go through. It's horrible what they go through. But anyway, Alicia, I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, I think that the people that Ken is referring to as far as his relationship, he's talking on this end of it. The problem end is going to be the policymakers and the authorities. Right. So it's two completely different sides.
Right.
Two separate ends.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when they walk in the door, I'm sure they're cordial.
Oh, very much so. We've never had I've never had a.
Never had to throw one out.
No. We've generally in the past we've had good relationships. We're cooperative.
Right.
We want to help them. We want criminals off the street just as bad as anybody else.
Yep.
So we do whatever we can to keep things on the up and up.
You're the good guys.
You're the good guys.
We're the good.
You're the good guys. And I'm not trying to save these guys because I understand where Mike is coming from. Because they have a job and they've got a direction from upstairs, and they have to fulfill what they've been told to do. Doesn't mean that you don't have a relationship with people. And I think honesty is the best policy. As long as you cross your T's and dot your I's, you should be good to go. Now, as far as there's a lawsuit you should jump on.
What's that?
Cameras in a pawn.
Well, believe me, it's being decided. It's brand new, and of course, it's being. The problem is, they flipped out so much after the Bruin case that
they're not even done.
There's a dozen lawsuits that need to get filed, but we don't have unlimited funds.
They do, and it's ours.
Yeah, I in every interview, and I was just talking about how I've been on KUSI and I've been on ABC and blah blah blah. In every single interview, I said that I wish the state would stop spending our money on trying to limit our rights and our freedom, and I wish they'd spend money on going after bad guys. And I still believe that. But what's like a super fun part about being a pawn shop owner? What's something that you're just like, man, this is so rewarding and great?
The variety of people that come through the door is truly amazing. White collar, blue collar, no collar. We see it all.
Every walk of life.
Every walk of life. Most people most of our customers are wonderful human beings, and they're a pleasure to do business with. My favorite part of the pawn shop on the gun side is when somebody comes in and they're looking to buy their first gun. Nice. And that's what I like the best. I like to help people to choose something that's going to be suitable for them, and start them off on the right footing.
That's awesome.
How big's your store? How many square feet?
About 2,500 square feet.
I gotta go. I was hoping it'd be like 500, and I wouldn't have to be tempted.
No. It's a great shop down on El Cajon Boulevard. It's a super great shop.
What's the address?
3033 El Cajon Boulevard.
Monday through Friday?
North Park, Monday through Friday, 10 till 6, Saturday, 10 till 5.
You're not open on Sunday?
No, sir.
That's right, you're here. Hey, have you ever wanted to get a pilot's license?
Yes.
I knew you would. Well, here in San Diego, pilots can fly almost every single day, which makes San Diego one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly with San Diego Flight Training International. Check out the deals just for gun owner radio listeners. 1 hour of ground school, 1 hour of flight with an instructor. Yeah, you do get to fly. It's normally $400, but for listeners, it's $350. $350. Getting started is easy. Just give them a call at 858-569-1822 or learn to fly with SDFTI. Call them, 858-569-1822.
So we talked about, you and I had a long talk about watches. We talked about guns. What's something else that you guys specialize in, or what's something that's fairly common, or what are some other areas that you dabble in at the shop?
Musical instruments. We have a large selection of electric guitars, acoustic guitars. That's a big item. Some really, really nice stuff. I don't play an instrument myself, but if I was to play, I'd know where I'd shop.
What's something that you knew nothing about before you owned a pawn shop, and now you're like an expert?
Well, I don't consider myself an expert in anything. I've learned through the School of Hard Knocks. Diamonds are something that was a steep learning curve. My son is a graduate gemologist from GIA, so that's quite helpful.
Congratulations.
Everything else is by learning. I have some wonderful employees that are also like family that do a lot of research and have a thirst for knowledge, and that helps out quite a bit too. We have a good pool of knowledge between us that help us do our job.
Yeah, I didn't even think about musical instruments. I've been getting the itch lately to buy a fiddle, but I don't want to spend it. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm going to be interested in a fiddle. You know what I mean? But I've thought, I should just.
Why don't you go rent one?
Well, why don't I go to check out the pawn shops for a few months and see if one comes through? I think that's probably a better plan.
Absolutely, we have them.
You got a fiddle down there?
Just give him a fiddle. He'll give it back in 3 days. So let's talk about this. I'm walking in.
My neighbors will force me to get it.
I'm sure. So I'm hurting for money. I need some money. So I bring something to you. I don't care what it is. I bring something to you. You appraise it. Give me the money that you say you'll give it to me. You keep then you keep the product for how long?
So, Dave, when somebody comes in to do a loan with us, we give them the money right away. It's a very quick process. Usually takes no more than about 5 minutes. We're just taking basic information. We scan an ID, make sure that the person matches who's on the ID. There's no credit check involved. It's called a non-recourse loan, so it's nothing that does not go against your credit. It's strictly basically because it's called non-recourse. Basically, your item is your collateral, so that's your item is strictly based on your collateral. It's not based on anything personal. So we lend you your money. We give you up to 4 months to pick up your item. If you choose to pick your item up, you come back in and pay us and take your item with you. If you're running short on cash, you don't want to lose your item, you could pay the charges that have accrued up to that point, and we'll roll the loan over and give you another 4 months, and we'll store your item for you.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, kind of cool, right?
Yeah, because I've always wondered, and by the way, Pawn Stars, my buddy of mine stopped. He had his ex-wife's jewelry. I don't know how he got it. And you know how Pawn Stars makes it look like, oh, we'll just come over here. We'll have you right out the door. Dude, 2.5 hours. Wow. 2.5 hours to get money for jewelry that he had given him.
But you got to check it out. You got to make sure it's real.
Well, if somebody brings in, sometimes people bring in 40 or 50 pieces, and if they all have diamonds in them,
no,
then
these are
that
just
is very
gold,
time-consuming.
just gold like bracelets and rings.
Well, maybe they had to stop for commercial break.
But I'm just saying, I'm sitting there going, dude, on TV, we'd be out of here in 10 minutes.
Yeah, before the commercial break.
We've been here for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
We have a small store, but I have my own philosophy is I'm impatient. I don't like to wait, so I assume my customers don't either. Yeah. So I have enough employees in my store that people don't have to wait.
Well, definitely check out Ken's store. I really, like I said, I'm a big fan. Whether it's most of the people listening are going to be interested in your gun selection. But there's a whole lot of reasons to go down there.
Well, I just went to the website, and it's all guns.
Perfect.
Well, that's my favorite part of the store.
I see. Favoritism.
So one thing we got to talk about, County Board of Supervisors. There's 5 of them. And
his favorite
Lawson Remer is she's kind of the north coastal Terra Lawson Remer. And she's an extremist. I mean, she's way out in left field. And she wants to – I need people to show up on Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. at the county board. We emailed it out, so check your inbox. If you're not on our email list, please
get on it.
Go to gunownersradio.com, get on our email list. Terra Lawson Remer wants the county board to pass make a statement, pass a resolution in favor of this 28th Amendment. Have you heard of this 28th Amendment?
Yes.
Essentially, what it's going to do is gut the Second Amendment. It says, hey, we'll be able to ban magazines, we'll be able to ban assault weapons, but then there's like this hidden piece that they're not really talking about. They're really just pointing to the assault weapon thing. I think they feel that they have the public support on that. They're pointing at the magazine thing. They feel they have the public support on that. But then there's like this fifth little criteria. There's four pieces of it. Then there's this fifth criteria that's kind of a catch-all, like, or we can do whatever we want kind of, thing. So.
Well, and there's an article in the Times of San Diego that's actually speaking in regards to this, and it has a quote from her, and I'd like to read it really briefly if you don't mind. So it doesn't start with a quote. I'll let you know when her quote begins. But it speaks about the summit. It says, at the conclusion, Lawson Remer called for widespread support of Gavin Newsom's right to safety amendment, which would preserve the Second Amendment and this is where the quotes begin, and would ensure the people's elected representatives can determine what gun safety laws are appropriate for their communities to enshrine fundamental, broadly supported gun safety measures into law. And so they're really marketing this hard as being something pro.
Yeah,
and so the truth needs to be,
because they're so dishonest. The other side's so dishonest about it. We don't have to be dishonest. We actually just tell the truth about it. But we need people to show up, again, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. We need people to stand up and say, hey, the thing that really baffles me is, they came out, we talked about on air a lot. We talked about this study that they did to reduce gun violence in the county. And, the numbers that came out, 70% are suicides, 30% are, criminals killing other criminals, really is what it amounts to. And they came up with, it was like a dozen suggestions on what the county should do. And 3/4 of those suggestions were totally fine. It was stuff like, fund efforts, that will help people if they're, suicidal,
like a call line. I think one was like a call
center.
Center. Right.
Call center, make sure that people have resources.
Which already exists.
It exists, but fund it more. Let's,
sure.
Obviously, if we don't, nobody wants anybody committing suicide. More programs to make sure kids don't wind up to be career criminals, more programs to help people get out of gangs. Great. Fantastic. And then there was kind of like this one where it's like, they want to spend money. They want to make sure that gun locks are provided free by the county. Okay, whatever. Go ahead.
Have they ever tried to put a gun lock on? You make people press the trigger attempting to put a lock on?
Oh, wow, really?
On speaking specifically of trigger locks, yeah.
Well, but whatever. Right? I think, by the way, they could offer that all day long. I think like 3 people might take them up on it. It's kind of a token nothing. And then there were a bunch of anti-guns, not a bunch, but about a third of it was fairly anti-gun. And it's been 4, 5, 6 months. Why hasn't she offered to pass? And it failed, which I'm very happy about. Why hasn't she offered to pass the 3/4 of the things that there was a consensus on? The suicide prevention stuff, the crime prevention stuff. Why hasn't she just gone back and said, hey, let's just pass the 3/4 that we all agree on? Nope. Either it has the anti-gun stuff or she's not passing any of it.
Right.
And that, I think that it's proof positive that, what a zealot she is. But we absolutely need you to come down and support us. We need you to RSVP if you can. Like I said, the emails went out last week about it. RSVP, come on down, 9 a.m. Tuesday, and basically say, hey, this.
Where do they meet?
This 28th Amendment isn't the right thing to do. So the county building is on Pacific Coast Highway. It's that really big building in front of the Star of India.
Okay. There's parking.
There's plenty of parking. There's public transportation.
And where do you go? The bottom floor, top floor?
It'll be marked. You go to their chambers. Basically, you have to ask anybody where do I go for the county board meeting. Once you get into the building, got to go through a metal detector. This is a government building. Just let everybody know. So prepare for that. But yeah, that's all you got to do. And just I'll be there. We'll walk you through it. If it's your first time, just come and say, hey, it's my first time.
Are you allowed to talk?
That's what we need you to do. We need you to make a statement. I'll show you how to put in a little slip to make a statement. But
be polite.
Of course, be polite. So anyway, need you to do that. Wanted to get that out there before the end of the show and let everybody know. So, but Ken, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you. Appreciate all your support. Again, you've been there from the very, very beginning. You've been such a great supporter. I didn't even half the time I don't even have to ask you for at Gun Prom. You're just like, yep, ready to go. Here's what I'm doing. And it's been absolutely wonderful, and I'm so appreciative. And I really want you to know how much I truly tell people that you're one of the best gun shops in the town. I think you seriously have the best selection out of just about every gun shop, and just do a wonderful job. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Michael. I really appreciate that, and I certainly appreciate everything you've done. You're our voice, so that's much appreciated. And anybody out there listening to this right now, if you come see me at Royal Loan, tell me you heard me on Gun Owner Radio. I will do some special discounts for you.
Nice. That's awesome. There you
Do
go.
you have any radios?
Absolutely.
You have antique radios?
Yes.
Can't say that on the air.
Oh, shoot. Shoot, double shoot. Hey, the fight for the Second Amendment is also happening in Orange County and Inland Empire. Orange County gun owners and Inland Empire gun owners lead the fight on the city and county levels to defend and protect your self-defense rights. How do they do it? They do it by fundraising, getting local pro-gun candidates elected. Become a member today. Go to iegunowners.com/join. Or if you're in Orange County, that's ocgunowners.com/join and join the growing number of responsible gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment right. That's iegunowners.com or ocgunowners.com.
Awesome. Winners, prizes, and events. First off, thank you to everybody that came to the gun show over the weekend. We had a fantastic time. I think it's wrapping up just about right now. I think it just 6 minutes ago, right?
I believe so.
Ran till 5. Yeah, ran till 5.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, everybody that attended. Again, it was, I think the potential is obvious.
Absolutely.
I think the symposium made the show. I think that the other side of the show is going to be even better moving forward. We're looking at other venues that will help with the growth of the show. But, what we needed to do is prove that it was successful and could be successful. And I think we did that, which is very, very awesome. So the folks who attended, thank you so much. Obviously, there's, it's not what Del Mar was yet, but it will be. Obviously, there's a lot of room for growth, but I got to tell you, Rich Umel, the producer of Gun Owners Radio, put so much time and effort into this thing and made something out of nothing, which is, such a great thing to do, and such a unique talent, and so appreciative. So thank you all the volunteers. Thank you everybody who saw the vision and said, "Hey, we got to do this," and selflessly acted and made the show happen. This week's winner for the Subscribe and Win program that we have, to subscribe and win, all you got to do is go to gunownersradio.com, subscribe to the email list, and you might win. This week's winner is Fritz Menke. Fritz Menke. That's Menke. I'm pretty sure that's how you say that. All right, Fritz, to get your T-shirt or your hat, all you got to do is email your info to prizes@gunownersradio.com, and we'll get you a hat or a shirt. The new Gun Owners Radio hats are cool. Have you seen them?
I have not yet.
It's got like the logo, but it's like a I don't know it's like a faded logo. It's like all one color logo, on the front. And the hat he picked is really, really cool. The current ones are cool too. It says Gun Owners Radio on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the logo. I like the look of the new stuff. I was telling him.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, he's going to bring them in. I think he's got one for your noggin.
Keep it warm and shaded. Could have used that yesterday.
Yeah, what were you doing yesterday?
Yesterday, up at the sheriff's range up near Camp Elliott, there was a pistol competition with it's the deputy sheriff's honorary
HDSA.
Yes, and so we did it. It was a fundraising competition, and it was a pretty fantastic time. So
wow,
it's up there with a number of City County gun owner members. Yeah. We're all on our squad. So we rocked it pretty well.
Did you?
Yeah.
So it was a competition?
It was a competition.
Who won? Do you know who won?
They did not announce an overall winner. They announced both novice and expert first and second place winners of every stage. Do
you remember some names? No?
No. Just mine.
Did you win?
I did really well, yeah.
Congratulations.
Got a couple challenge coins, yeah.
Congratulations. What were you running?
I was just running a Glock 17.
Just
a Glock 17.
Just a Glock 17.
However, I learned, I was reminded, I once upon a time I had put an extended mag release on, which sounded like a really good idea in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. The way that I grip it, I'm going to take it off or file it down. Extended
mag release.
Yes.
Yeah, I have two Glocks. I have a 30 and a 19.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know I don't know if I've ever thought about. I don't know if I've ever had a problem with a mag release.
I never had a problem with it either. However, just because I instruct and teach, I put it on there as a demo to show. Because sometimes people do need it or want it, and so I put it on just so I'd have it on one of my guns. It was a bad one to put it on. It's not. It wasn't a good fit for me to actually run.
So you're gonna take it off?
I'm gonna take it off.
He's at the west door, so text him.
Or I'm gonna file it down. But yeah.
Okay. So.
I'll go down.
So that's awesome. We had I went and did sporting clays with the 10 ring members today.
How'd that go?
I think it went well. I shot horribly. I had to borrow.
We all have off days.
Yeah, it was fun though. It was a really fun crowd. And I don't know why, but we like flew through it. Like usually it takes a few hours, but we were in and out of there pretty quick. It's just I think time flies when you're having fun too.
Absolutely.
But Dustin Trotter, the councilman from Santee, was there, and I don't really have a shotgun for sporting clays anymore. It was I had my dad's Winchester 1200.
Okay.
Which I loved.
Right.
It was great.
Right.
But it's my nephew's now. I wanted Grandpa to have. I wanted him to have Grandpa's gun while Grandpa's here and around.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I don't really have a suitable shotgun for that anymore, and I don't know what I want to get.
So many options.
I know. So many options. I'm at the point where I'm ruling things out.
So where are you at so far? What have you ruled out?
I've ruled out semi-auto.
Okay.
I don't want a semi-auto shotgun.
Okay.
I don't have anything against them. It's just I don't want a semi-auto. My Winchester 1200 was a pump, which I like. I preferred. I've ruled out an over-under.
Okay.
So what I'm leaning towards is either a pump or a side-by-side.
Okay.
I think a side-by-side would be kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Just get one with the dual trigger.
You think dual trigger? See, that's the other thing is I don't think I like the dual trigger. I think I want the single trigger.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
However, if you're going to go big, go big.
So what's big? Two triggers?
Why not?
I think I just want the one trigger. I think I want the best of all worlds. But I thought I'm looking around. Everybody has a semi-auto. Everyone has an over-under. And nothing against them.
The side-by-sides are definitely not around as much.
I got to be different. I just want to be a little different. And I don't need a multi-use shotgun. I have other shotguns that fill, every need that a shotgun, except, sporting clays. So I just want something specific for sporting clays. So
there you go.
Like a 28-inch barrel on a side-by-side with a single trigger. I think that's what I want. Someone called it. I told someone, I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm going side-by-side." And he goes, "Yeah, nobody out here runs train tracks." And I thought it kind of does look like train tracks.
It does. So what was your score?
I don't want to disclose
really?
that.
Oh.
I actually don't remember. It was in the 20s. Nothing
Okay.
impressive. 20 out of it's like 20s out of 50. We just did 50.
Okay.
Who won? It was Will, guy with us. Will won. He had a good day. He was shooting a 20 gauge over under, and he did a really good job. And his dad Bronson he had a semi-auto and he did really, really well. But I was borrowing a Mossberg pump, and I had an okay back half, as far as scoring. But the first half was atrocious. It really, really, really didn't quite fit me, And
that's important.
Yeah.
That fit will make a difference.
The first few, that's my excuse. You always got to have an excuse. So,
right.
But.
It's always going to be the gun.
And then yesterday we had an awesome day at Discount Gun Mart, awesome morning at Discount Gun Mart when we had our shooting social, which really, really, really,
I heard
really,
it went
really
great.
went well. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So. Let me see. Gun shops. Want to thank Discount Gun Mart, the Gun Range San Diego, and Poway Weapons and Gear for the gun show. You guys did awesome. Really want to thank sponsors Tune Win from 2C, Gunsite Academy, Firearms Legal Protection. Thanks for the coffee. 511 Tactical, Outdoor Women, Seal One, Recoil Magazine, Active Self-Protection, Red, White, and Badass Brew for the coffee. Leo Hamill Jewelers, Core Essentials, Joe Wall Jewelry, Pacific Island Crave, which is where I got the food from. That was super good. Hasai Grill, Flamingo's Ice Cream, You guys did a fantastic job. Thank you so much. We look forward to having future gun shows. We look forward to growing it and making it even better, Dave.
Hey, is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's bigger and stronger?
Nope.
No.
You're not a woman. Be quiet over there. That's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. To sign up, go to notmesd.org.
I think this Muzak, I think they're copying. I think it's Radar Love. That's my guess. Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it sound like it?
It could
Yeah.
be.
It's my new hobby is to try to guess what the Muzak is copying for the non-copywritten.
Is that Radar Love?
Well, it's not. We're not going to be able to know what they're.
Brendan.
No. It's not copyright. I promise.
Yeah.
It sounds like Radar Love, but
That's what I just said.
That's what
I know. I just never
But
mind.
we're not going to be able to determine.
I
what
just
we're talking
agreed.
about.
Just agreed.
Literally, you can use Shazam it, and you can be like, oh, "Okay, yeah, it's not copyrighted stuff. It'll be fine."
Yeah. No, that's not. That's not. Anyway.
Hey,
All right. So we're here with Alan Chandler from Lone Star
Firearm Defense.
Firearm Defense. How are you? Get right up on the mic. Get right up on the mic.
I'm right up on the mic, and I'm feeling a lot better. How are you doing?
Fantastic, man. You just flew in, and boy, are your arms tired, right?
Yep. Yeah, every day. That joke never gets old. I love it. But yeah, we just came in from Philadelphia. So we had a lot of folks do classes this weekend in Philadelphia, a couple of gun ranges, and everybody up there is finally embracing the full scope of their Second Amendment rights.
That's awesome.
We hope that happens here.
Yeah, thanks to the Supreme Court.
Yep.
So-
2022.
Talk about what does Lone Star Firearm Defense do? What do you guys do?
We've got two missions. The first is to educate folks on what their firearm rights are, what their constitutional rights are, what the Second Amendment rights are, so that people know that they have a lawful right to defend themselves. So that's our fundamental. The second is if you can't afford an attorney, we can get you one for under $10 in your state. And they're all good. They're competent. They're qualified. And they are firearm experienced
I was
attorneys.
going to say they're firearms attorneys.
Correct.
And-
Yeah.
and-
They're criminal defense attorneys predominantly. The folks that can get you out of trouble if you use a firearm to lawfully defend yourself, because you're going to get arrested.
Absolutely.
Might as well have a really good attorney get you out and then defend you properly.
You have to join an organization to get this benefit.
You do. You have to join us. Lone Star Firearm Defense is the organization, and we're in 19 states right now.
Based in Dallas?
Based in Dallas. Yep, headquartered in Dallas.
Yeah, I guess.
See, you saw that. Lone Star.
Lone Star.
Yeah, people are like, Lone Star, where's that from? I'm like,
It has
guess.
to be Dallas.
Puerto Rico, right? Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
They have a star on their flag.
Well, Minnesota's the North Stars, but no,
That's true, too.
I don't have that.
So you've been busy?
Very busy. Since 2022, since the Bruin case came out, things have changed across the landscape in the country has changed on the Second Amendment. Pennsylvania has opened up, but the big openings are in Maryland, Delaware, even New Jersey. We have ranges now in New Jersey, letting people know they have the right to constitutionally carry.
How cool is that?
It's really cool.
What do you think of California? Because they're not giving up. They are not giving up.
California doesn't give up on a lot of things, which
or
is
anything.
Well, it's a good thing about California that they hold on to certain things, but it's a bad thing about California when they hold on to taking people's rights to defend themselves away from the people who are lawfully going to have to use them.
They do everything humanly possible. I mean, Bruin, anything like that, they have to go back into the room and they say, okay, now we have to attack. We have to attack. We have to attack.
Well, we've been saying, I first met Michael back in 2015, came out here and we were trying to support San Diego County Gun Owners Association. And one of the things we first talked about is there's no such thing as an assault weapon.
That's right.
I mean, literally, there's no such thing as an assault weapon, and to create an assault weapon is pure magic. And it's like, oh, we're going to call something an assault weapon. Today, it's got a fin on it, or we added a pistol grip, or what? Now it's an assault weapon, and so that makes no sense.
I think that's one of the things that came up in the interviews is I really led with is what we mean by that. You know, if you're kind of wondering, well, what do you mean there's no such thing as an assault weapon? We've heard that term, whatever. They picked that term wasn't an industry term.
Correct.
You know, like Dave, you're the car guy. If I said sedan or if I said pickup truck, you know, you could picture it in your head. Oh, well, a pickup truck it has a bed, has
Right.
You know, assault weapon isn't an industry term that way.
But what is an assault weapon?
So what they did is they picked this term and just gave it a definition.
They took a term that seems exciting to people. It catches you. It's a wow, that got my interest. Now what does that mean, assault? Wow, do we got a pepper weapon coming? No, but it's an assault weapon, and then we're going to define it. How do we define it? We don't know yet. Oh, I know, something that's really scary. And what they did is they picked the most common self-defense weapon that Americans use. They picked the AR-15, the most common and historically, since 1959 really, weapon that has been used for self-defense. It's the number one. It's like the Ford F-150 is the, and it was written in that opinion, it's the number one truck. The AR-15 is the number one platform for defending yourself, self-defense. That and a pistol, a semi-automatic firearm. And they're going after both those. They've literally said, we want to make sure that people cannot defend themselves in California. And they said it in a twisted way, and they said it in a publicly embraced way, actually, originally, by calling it an assault weapon. These are assault weapons. Oh, well, who doesn't want to get rid of assault weapons?
And they do it with a straight face.
Yeah, well, who doesn't want to protect? You want to protect a school? Well, we got to take that weapon.
That's right.
So that's not how you protect a school. And routinely pass, and we say this till we're blue in the face, but you pass a law, the law's ignored, and then we pass more laws because the laws are ignored. It's like, oh, they ignored the law and they shot people. Oh, my God, what do we do? Well, let's pass more laws. That will cure that problem.
Absolutely.
What do we do next? Well, let's pass more laws. So the laws are not who follows them? I mean, the only people following the laws are the people who are law-abiding citizens. And when I give these classes, when I go across the country, and I do them from California to Texas. I'm licensed in both California and Texas. I give classes in Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Minnesota.
Which ones aren't you licensed in?
I'm licensed currently in California and Texas.
Okay.
Well,
two diametrically opposed, but I give classes in all these, and I bring other attorneys in from those local areas just to make sure we're good. I am, at law.
So he's talking about he's a licensed attorney in those two states, but
correct.
Lone Star.
We're in 19 states.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but we cover everybody in 50. We even, unlike other people, cover you in New Jersey and New York and Hawaii. So I haven't had anybody really call us in Hawaii yet, but I do have about 5 attorneys that are very good. Yes, they are.
Ready to go.
So,
So as an attorney, so then those were the big, when we started, the big ones were, of course, the assault weapons ban, because they're banned, like you said, the most common, they basically banned semi-automatic rifles, the most common types of rifles, carry permits, mags, mag bans. Those were like the big 3 things that people were talking about back when we started. And we put our money where our mouth is. We're plaintiffs in lawsuits. We're getting people elected. We're doing all kinds of different things. And we just had a fairly major victory.
A huge victory.
A second victory in the Miller case. We're plaintiffs. Jim Miller is a school. I love the fact that Jim Miller's a school board member. And getting rid of an assault weapons ban because he's concerned about the safety of the kids.
As everybody should be.
As everyone should be.
Right.
So this is the second time Judge Benitez has said, yes, this thing's unconstitutional.
Correct.
So did you review his? What did you think of his? Did you read his opinion?
All 79 pages.
Did you?
Yeah, I think it's a great opinion. It's a common sense look at not only the history that was punctuated by Bruin, but also he brings in common metaphorical cases to explain. The woman who can't defend herself from 7 guys that break in, or you're in your home and someone breaks in and you have to call the police. Well, how long is it going to take before they get there? If you don't have a firearm to protect yourself, you're literally at the mercy of the people entering your home. And that's just wrong. So in almost every other state, and I think there are 26 now that are constitutional carry, you can have a firearm in your home and you don't need a permit or anything else to go with it. As long as you're a lawful gun owner, you have the right to carry that and protect yourself. And that's what we like to get to here in California because, as we discussed off camera, I mean, the only people that are following these laws are law-abiding citizens. And the people that I give these classes to are shocked that they can't, in certain states, they're shocked that they can't carry a firearm to protect themselves. It makes no sense. Here in California, if you have a firearm and you're transporting it, right, you got to take it apart, you got to put it in your trunk, you got to lock it in a case, the ammo has to be separate, and then when someone attacks you, you have to say, well, hold on a second, I need about 3, maybe 2.5, 3 minutes to reassemble my handgun, get it out of the trunk, and then maybe I'll be able to defend myself.
Right.
And that is literally ridiculous.
And it makes no common sense.
Well, a good example is I'm I'm a 20-year Army veteran. I retired as a lieutenant colonel. I traveled to 50 countries. I was deployed to 9. Everywhere I went, the Army gave me a firearm and said, we trust you to protect yourself and those you went with this firearm, deadly force. I went to Texas, and I was a assistant district attorney in Dallas, okay? And I prosecuted people. I upheld the law in Texas. Texas says, yes, Mr. Chandler, you can have a firearm, and we trust that as a lawful citizen, you can carry and do that. I come to California, and I am treated horribly if I want to bring a firearm. I'm told, here's the kind of firearms we think you should have, okay? Not the ones that you own currently, but you can get what they use for the Olympics. That'll be good. Use a .22 that an Olympic marksman uses, okay? That's the kind of weapon you can defend yourself with, but I can't carry that by myself. No. I'm from out of state. You got to be in state. You got to register for it. And until last year, it was a 2-part test to get your concealed carry permit. You had to be not only a good person, but you had to convince the sheriff that you were a really good person with a really good cause. Like, I was attacked before, or, enemies coming over the walls. I mean, that kind of thing. And that just didn't happen. So thank you, actually, Michael, and everybody else who got rid of with Brune, got rid of that second, inhibitor, basically.
It's an uphill battle, man. I'm telling you.
Bruin got rid of that. I don't miss reviewing good cause statements in any way. I don't miss that at all.
Absolutely.
I would get, I don't know, I don't want to exaggerate, but at least like a dozen a week. Emails saying, hey, here's my good cause.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, in 2022, I came to California once a month to go to the sheriff of Riverside County, Chad Bianco's range. And he would take between 25 and 35 women every month and teach them about firearms. They get to fire a .22. They had instructors. I'd provide legal stuff, to let them know when and where and what the law in California is. And we would do that once a month. And in 3 years, now I've only been there for a year of it, but in 3 years, that wonderful human, that sheriff out there, took from 2,500 concealed carry permit holders his county to 27,500.
Isn't that amazing?
Okay? And at the end of every class, Chad would get up and he would say something that I thought was awesome. He would say, ladies, I want you to continue to pursue getting your concealed carry permit. I want you to do that because I care about you. Okay? And you need to do that. I can't be there all the time for you. You got to be safe till we get there.
That's amazing.
Sheriff Bianco is the absolute best elected official. He's my favorite by far. So I want to get back when we get to the our next segment. Let's talk more about the Miller case. I'm curious about some of your takeaways.
Hey, a lot of companies waste an enormous amount of money on marketing. The design is excellent, the photos are beautiful, and your website looks great. But it's just not getting customers. Why? Because you don't have the words that make people buy. But now you can fix that with Sage Tree. Sage Tree can help you find the words that will make it easy for your customers to understand what you do and how to buy from you. So stop wasting money today and schedule a call. Getting started is super easy. Just visit sagetree.com. Click on the Schedule an Appointment button at sagetree.com and click on the Schedule a Call button.
All right, so we're talking to Alan Chandler from Lone Star Firearm Defense. I should know he's Lone Star. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Lone Star's fine.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's
okay,
good.
So
Everybody wants to defend firearms, so why not, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Especially
Join
in
the club.
California. Yeah, that's awesome.
And we were talking about the Miller decision by Benitez, 79 pages, and what an excellent decision it was. So what stood out? Talk about some things that stood out, some takeaways you have.
Well, the takeaway is setting it up. Why do we have to have this kind of thing? And the reason we had to have this kind of law, basically this case come out, is because a misinterpretation of what the Second Amendment is, what was going on in California for many, many years. We had school shootings, we had church shootings, we've had 12 major church shootings since 1999. We've had elementary schools, we've had all different things on soft targets. And in the 90s, people were saying, let's create places where we don't have to worry about anyone, so we'll just remove the right to defend yourself from that area. But at the same time, they didn't protect them. So when you're looking at the Miller decision, you're looking at a period of time where, before Miller, I should say, where people were saying, hey, in order for the greater good, we're going to try to take firearms away from all legally authorized firearm owners. Because we can't take them away from criminals. There's way too many here in California.
Right.
So we're just going to try to start with removing weapons with the people we can remove them from. And they missed the boat. And Miller brings it out very clearly. They bring it out with examples. They talk about Uvalde, Sandy Hook, Parkland. They talk about the Pulse nightclub and all these other tragic shootings, and they're saying, hey, we want to do something about that. But what they forgot by taking the firearm away from a lawful gun owner was you had people like a woman who was pregnant and a mother of her family, and 2 armed hoodlums broke into her home, and they were masked intruders and going to do harm to her and her kids, and could have very easily killed them. They came in with firearms. She used a firearm to defend herself. If she hadn't had that here in California, she would have died, likely, robbed, whatever else. She wouldn't have been able to defend her family. And the case Miller goes through over and over, a disabled 61-year-old man living on a 20-acre property in Florida, he's disabled, and he uses an AR to defend himself from 7 people breaking in. By the time the police arrived, one attacker was laying wounded outside, another dying, and so on. But they came in to kill him. They came in to rob him and to take care of a disabled veteran. You can't. We're watching the trees and avoiding the forest. And that's really a crazy way to say that you can defend yourself. So what they're saying is, we're going to take weapons away from all of you who can have them legally, and we're going to protect ourselves with taxpayer money. And you should be good with that. And so Miller points out pretty succinctly that the main right you have as a citizen, as a human being, is the right to self-defense. In fact, they quote Blackstone by saying, the right to self-defense is first law of nature. Because if you can't defend yourself, and we're extrapolating here, but if you can't defend yourself, you can't defend anyone else. You have no rights. It's worse than being bullied in school. You know, you remember the big kid who would come in and push everybody around? It's like you had teachers that would take care of that. Mike was probably one of those big guys, but you had...
I bullied the bullies.
There you go. But you have somebody using and you can't protect yourself. You have no rights. Your things are taken from you. That's when you're weak and helpless, and we don't tolerate that. And so that was the Second Amendment. It was created to say you can protect yourself, your friends, your family, your community, and your state. And California says, we don't want you to defend our state. We're going to take that away from you. Yet, we're going to cut the number of law enforcement individuals. We're going to import, in the last 11 months, 2.4 million people have come across the border, and we don't know who those people are.
And those are just the numbers we know about.
Correct. I was just given this class in Louisiana, and that's more than 40% of the population of Louisiana came across the border in the last 11 months. And when you talk about states like Mississippi, that's 65% of the state of Mississippi. So you're bringing an entire state of people in. And where are they going? They're going predominantly to warm places. You see a lot of them going to Minnesota, but not that many, because let's see, what do they have in Minnesota? Oh yeah, they have winter.
Yeah, well, they haven't experienced winter yet.
Right. Well, and New York has got issues too. And I'm really upset with New York, and I'm taking a side note here, a little bit off Miller, but New York took a whole hotel full of veterans, wheelchaired veterans, threw them out and put homeless people in, and gave them cell phones and money and all sorts of stuff that, let me think, oh yeah, the veterans didn't get. So you serve your country, and you served your country, didn't you? Yep.
Absolutely.
I did mine for 20 years, 1 month, and 6 days.
Right.
I know I could be more specific, but
I know I did mine 3 years, 10 days, and 8 hours.
During Vietnam, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I deployed to 9 countries, and I can tell you that if you do that, you should have rights, and we do. And California seeks to take them away, and this case seems to reimburse those rights. It's like you had them all along. It was a fake that it gave you by trying to take them away. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Did you read the first decision he did a couple years ago?
I did a couple of years ago.
It's
very similar, but this one's punctuated by Bruin. Okay, and what's happened in the Supreme Court from 1939 to 2008, there really weren't many changes in the Supreme Court. Miller came out in 1939, and it was a jumbled mess.
The other Miller.
There
was another case called
There was a 1939 Miller case,
right.
And it was when they established the National Firearms Act back in 34 and 35. And the National Firearms Act was created because the president at that time, FDR, was down in Florida with the mayor of Milwaukee and the governor of Florida. And someone made an attempt on one of those guys' lives. And during that period of time, combined with, what's that thing that happened on Valentine's Day in Chicago?
It was a massacre.
Right. They decided that they were going to outlaw Thompson submachine guns. And so that case came out because they handpicked 2 criminals that went across state lines with shotguns and committed a murder and a robbery. And so they took that case up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court did not want to right Miller. They're like, Second Amendment's inviolate, we don't want to touch it. And they were threatened by the president. We're going to take it from 9 to 16 members on the Supreme Court. And they're like, oh, well, hold on a sec, let's review that again. And so they made some decisions that were a little bit in error in my view.
Yeah.
Although when you look at this case, Rob Bonta Miller versus Bonta. And when you're looking at the Miller case here, 2023, they're looking back at Miller and saying, well, it wasn't as bad as we thought it was, and there's some things that are key in Miller that we'd like to, we're breathing new life into, like you have the right to defend yourself with the Second Amendment, and it doesn't have to be solely military-grade weapons.
Well, what's interesting about the Miller case from 1939 and compared to modern day is that case also resulted in the ability to ban short-barrel shotguns.
Correct.
And the reason they gave is they said, look, we can ban short-barreled shotguns, and it's not in violation of the Second Amendment because short-barreled shotguns don't have a military use.
I know.
And now it's the total opposite, where they're like, wait a minute, this is just for the military, therefore it's not protected by the Second Amendment.
Well, 2 of the Supreme Court justices in 1939 actually served in World War II and used short-barreled shotguns. So I'm telling you. I mean, there are 2 weapons.
World War I, they've served in.
World War I, yes.
Yeah.
But
the trenches,
What's really interesting to me, too, is the Thompson submachine gun that we initially came up with the NFA ban for, that started this whole process of chipping away at the Second Amendment. That was created to serve our soldiers in World War I, okay? We're going to give them a great weapon. It's a Thompson submachine, a rotary, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be a great piece of kit. We made like 19 million of those suckers. And then the war ended. We only had a year of the war. Like, what do we do with those things? Well, it's America, so let's capitalize on that. Let's market those. How are we going to market those things? I know. So they sold them as varmint-killing weapons to people on farms, getting rid of your rats and your rodents using a Thompson submachine gun.
Oh, heck yeah.
And that's why when you go today and you find these vintage Thompson submachine guns, you find them in old barns in the middle of nowhere on farms. It's like, oh, look at that. So, yeah, they missed the boat back then.
John Dillon, attorney extraordinaire.
Phenomenal guy.
He's a great guy. He pointed out yesterday at the symposium, Gavin Newsom put out a tweet criticizing Judge Benitez, which was
personal.
It really was.
Yep.
I mean, it was
It's ridiculous.
I think he could probably sue based on some of the accusations he made. But one of the things he said is, I'll read most of it. Today, a right-wing NRA puppet, Judge Roger Benitez, tried to strip away California's 3-decade-old assault weapon ban, comparing an assault rifle to a knife. There's a section in there where he talks about
first
bowie
sentence.
knives.
First sentence.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now here's what John pointed out that was extremely interesting. So they went back and said, look, everybody, the Bruin decision happened. So you got to look at text, history, and tradition.
Yep.
Show us text and history. Show us history of where some kind of ban happened. And it was actually Newsom's attorneys who brought up Bowie knives. And so so that's what Benitez was. That's why he included Bowie knives in this, because he was basically saying, "Hey, look, you guys got that part wrong." So the fact that the governor was criticizing the fact that they were comparing Bowie knives to those are his own attorneys.
Correct.
Completely, oblivious, has no idea what's going on, doesn't understand.
No, he does, and he's pushing an agenda.
Yes, he does.
There's no question he cannot not, if he's looked at this in any way, shape, or form for more than 5 minutes, he has to realize that what he's been doing, and the rest of everybody here in California, for 30 years, is depriving people of their rights. While this guy struts around our state with a big smile, having a nice day, and he is surrounded by people who protect him every day. He doesn't, and we pay for that. And he hasn't got a care in the world. I've got tons of people protecting me. And so I think it's punctuated by the judge in this particular case because it's the first sentence. He says, like Bowie knife, which was commonly carried by citizens and soldiers in the 1880, assault weapons are dangerous. And he uses assault weapons in quotations because really that doesn't exist. But useful, right? And so what's the purpose of these weapons that are being banned? Well, they're for self-defense. And that's what the irony here is, to your point.
Yeah. Well, when we're about to go to a break. When we come back, you did a really good job. You were on a couple years ago, and you talked about it was the case remember the case where the prosecutor pointed a firearm at the jury.
Yes.
And everyone's like, God, that's lunacy. Why would he do that?
In Wisconsin, yes.
Yeah, you were the only one who pointed out a very reasonable reason why he did that, what he was trying to pull off. My question is, and what we'll answer when we come back, they're delaying the inevitable. I think it's pretty clear they're delaying the inevitable. The Ninth Circuit or California, they're appealing and whatever. It's clear they're clearly going to lose. Is there a strategy, or is there any kind of end game or something they're trying to get to, or are they just lost? But when we get back.
Hey, thank you again to everybody that showed up to the San Diego Gun Show and the Gun Owners Symposium. You really missed out, but it's coming back. Don't worry. Your presence helped make the event a success and show anti-gun politicians like Todd Gloria, Rob Bonta, and Gavin Newsom that the Second Amendment community is strong and growing in California. Our teams are processing the entire entries, and tune in next week when we announce the winners of the custom Glock 17 from 2C.US, 3-day pistol class from Gunsite Academy, annual family membership from Firearms Legal Protection, and a Vulcan waterproof rifle case, plus 511 Rush 2.0 backpack. Thanks again for everybody that supported the event. Spread the word and be ready for the next one.
All right, before we go to Sam the Gunman and ask the question, we're here with Alan Chandler from Lone Star Firearm Defense, and people have the opportunity to meet you in person and hear a seminar on November 1st.
That's correct. We're up.
Give like a 20 seconds on what the seminar is.
The seminar is in what happens to you after you use a firearm to defend yourself lawfully.
And you're an attorney?
I am attorney at law, like kind of like plumber at pipes. Yeah, so I get up and I explain what happens from. We usually use a scenario that it's 10 o'clock on a Friday night and you've just shot someone in legal self-defense. What happens? What do you do? Where does it go?
Where are you going to do this at?
So we're going to get all that information out. Check out get on our email list in order to RSVP to that. It's free. It's going to be a free event.
We have one tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to be up in Orange County and I'm going to put that on the website so you can look at my Facebook, or you can look at Lone Star Farm Defense Facebook, and you can find out where that is. But it's going to be tomorrow night at 6 o'clock up in Orange County, and I'll put that out later.
Fantastic. Okay, so before we get Sam on the phone to ask him the question, I asked you before we went to break the Miller case. They seem to be delaying the inevitable. They're obviously going to lose. We are obviously going to get this thing taken care of and reverse the assault weapons ban. Do you see any kind? Is there a strategy to what they're trying to do, or do you think they're just grasping at straws?
Okay, well, anything that's a crystal ball is kind of just like that. Here we are at the fair with the crystal ball. It depends how much more we can destroy our country. If Gavin Newsom becomes president of the United States, then maybe we'll put more people on the Supreme Court. Maybe we'll rearrange all these rules. Maybe we'll take away more rights and liberties. I don't see that happening, but that's a possible strategy. People have been theorizing all sorts of good things. What happens if Biden stays in? What if we go to World War III? I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now we just can't account for. So on a localized level, what's the strategy here in California? It's to hold. Californians are I sit and talk to folks when I come out here, and I'm surprised that they don't talk more about, or at least know more about what's going on. It's like social media doesn't exist here in California. The people that I talk to at restaurants and so on don't know what's going on outside of California. So I'm wondering if the local news is not letting them know. I mean, it's bizarre. Because I go to other places, Pennsylvania or Minnesota or Texas or you name it, and they're all talking about these issues. They're talking about constitutional carry. They're talking about how 2 million people came across the border in the last 11 months. They're talking about border security. They're talking about the amount of crime. We see on the news every night San Francisco is being bombarded by criminals. People are pulling all this stuff out of stores. They're closing stores. Target shut down 9 stores nationwide. Seattle, all these places. So it's crazy.
The San Francisco mayor actually was just here locally giving a talk about how successful her city was. I absolutely couldn't believe it. How could she possibly be spinning that?
Well, it's how you define success, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so here's what we're going to do. Excellent job. Thank you so much, Alan. Again, we're going to have a seminar. Alan's going to head it up and tell you what to do after the fight. What to do if you are in a defensive gun use situation. It's going to be on November 1st. You're going to want to get on our email list. We've sent out an RSVP once, so check your old emails. But to come to the seminar, it's free. It'll be right here in town. Okay, let's move on to Sam the Gunman. Everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. Sam, are you there?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Good, man. How are you?
I can't complain.
All right, good. I don't want to hear it anyway. How about that, buddy? Jeez. I'm just kidding. Hey, so we found out years ago that Sam, my nephew, is extremely good on gun trivia. So if you send us a trivia question, we use it on the air, we'll give you a hat or shirt. And if you stump my nephew, we'll give you a super special prize. So today, Alan Chandler, attorney extraordinaire, is going to ask the question. So go for it.
The question for today is
question
for today, closer to the mic so you can hear me,
There we go.
as opposed to mumbling. What was the first, quote, dangerous and unusual, unquote, firearm that was restricted in 1868?
That's from Steve in Santee.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Steve from Santee, thanks for writing in. What was the first dangerous and unusual firearm restricted in 1868?
Exactly. To help you out, the Miller case discusses dangerous and unusual as opposed to dangerous or unusual.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask about that a little later in the show. My guess is full disclosure, I do not know the answer to this question. I will do what I usually do in such circumstances, and I will venture a guess, and we'll see how far off I am. I'm going to say it was... I'm going to say it was either a sawed-off shotgun or a small and concealable handgun. But I think he's got me.
Would you like to phone a friend? Can he buy a vowel?
Part of the rules. He wins.
Go ahead and read the. I think he's got you. I don't think that it's. But go ahead. And
I was going to bet that he wouldn't get this.
It's pretty obscure. It's pretty obscure.
What do you mean, 1868? That's only, what 140, 160 years ago.
They expect this kid to walk on water.
Sam wasn't born yet. Dave was.
I was.
But Sam wasn't born yet.
Dave was building these things. Okay, so the hint we're going to give you is you can use it not just as a firearm, but you can use it to help you get around.
If you're old.
It's a good hint.
If you're old.
It's a good hint.
You can lean in on it.
Is that going to be one of those firearms disguised as a cane?
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Circle gets the square. Tell him what he's won, Bob.
Go ahead and read the answer there.
The answer is a rifle cane. Congratulations, you got it with just a tiny hint. In that year, Alabama prohibited carrying a rifle walking cane or a shotgun walking cane. So you had it on the head with the rifle or shotgun. You were so close. So just that little tip put you over the edge. Nicely done.
Well, I still think he got it because I needed a hint, and that isn't part of the rules.
No,
so.
Steve,
You're right.
Steve from
You got
Santee.
me.
We're going to give you a special gift. We'll give you a hat and a shirt, and we'll give you a special gift. I don't know what the special gift is yet, but we'll get
You
a whole
Got
lot
me
of
good,
information.
fair and square. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, that's a really good. I thought it was a good question. It was patented in 1858, manufactured by Remington and Sons Company until approximately 1888. Oh, it was patented in 1858, made until 1888, with less than 2,000 produced. What does that say? Is that a .96?
0.98 Remington.
0.98 Remington was the only major. What does that mean?
Gun maker to produce a rifle cane.
So-
California currently
Produce-
has a
oh.
law prohibiting possession of
What
a
is? I
cane
don't understand
gun.
the 98 Remington. Is that the name of a company? It's not a 98 caliber. It's
No, it's just labeled it a .98 Remington. And we'd have to look that up, but that's my guess.
I don't know what that is. Anyway,
Oh my gosh, what's
California
that?
currently has a law prohibiting possession of cane guns, and of course, it was discussed.
Well, of course they have a law. That's when Newsom was there.
They have a law discussing everything, addressing.
Well, and
everything.
that's still part of the National Firearms Act. Is a firearm that is disguised as something else deliberately
Right.
is considered in any other weapon. So if you wanted to make an actual firing replica of some kind of secret agent assassination weapon or something out of a James Bond movie that's disguised as a very realistic looking pen, for example, then you do have to register that as in any other weapon.
Interesting.
Well, I just watched, it's Alan again, I just watched In the Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood. You remember that old movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used
Like
a plastic, assemble it together firearm with the coil to propel the round forward was from a ballpoint pen. So kind of interesting. And also probably, let me think. Oh yeah, banned in California.
That was the bad guy was Malkovich, wasn't it?
John Malkovich. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Did you see that movie, Sam?
No, I'm afraid I haven't.
Oh, it's worth it. Totally worth
It's
it.
a good movie. It's
Yeah.
good Clint Eastwood movie.
Yeah, at the end, you'll see he falls. I hate to. Should I ruin it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
at the end,
No, don't ruin it.
Oh, are you going to watch it? You didn't even watch The Little Rascals yet.
I don't even know what that is.
I'm sorry, Spanky. I have to live my own life.
See?
Yeah.
All right, good job, Sam.
You're the best.
Unfortunately, you didn't get it right this time, and we got to give Steve from Santee a gift, which
Little
is
shout
not
out.
a problem at all. But anyway,
Well,
we'll
hey.
talk to you next week, and I'm sure you'll get it right next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on anyway. Good question, Steve, and thanks everyone for listening. Good night.
All right, buddy.
Sam,
Take care.
Good night.
All right, so where's the seminar?
Good kid. You got to email us. We got to RSVP and email us. It's here in San Diego. You got to email us.
So
to
what
get
about the one
information.
he's going to Orange County?
Well, I have to pull out exactly where that is.
While
It's
he's
in Orange
pulling that
County.
up.
It's
So-
in Orange County.
Go to the
yeah.
website. Go to Lone Star.
Firearmdefense.com.
You got to RSVP though. We don't want to give out the address because then a bunch of people show up. We're not going to have
Oh,
seats for
yeah.
them, so we can't do that. So
Are
you
you
got
going?
to RSVP.
Are you
The
going tomorrow?
information
Tomorrow.
is
Orange County.
so important.
Tomorrow's in Orange County. It's in. It's at Zito's Pizza because we do some things that are a little unusual.
No, he does the
There's
same
about
thing.
45 folks that should be showing up tomorrow at 2036 North Tustin Street, in Orange, California. And we're looking forward to discussing what to expect when you're involved in a shooting. It's about a 2-hour course. That includes questions of the lawyer. So,
You get a certificate?
Such important information.
yeah, very important. Yeah,
You get a certificate?
you do.
Nice. Got to have a certificate.
Yeah, last one we got a lot of great reviews from last time you did it. And I don't know, we had 50, 60, 70 people there or something like that.
At least,
So
yeah.
it's good.
Well, at least you get to sleep in.
That's right.
I thought it was going to be 6 in the morning. Yeah, this guy's a maniac.
That'd be awesome.
Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.